I want to speak English fluently, but I'm not really sure where should I start or how should I practice. Well, in this video guys, I'm answering that very question. So I'm going to share different tips with you that if you follow, they are going to more or less guarantee that you get fluent in English, provided if you follow these and you practice based on these consistently. Now, I do get a lot of questions whenever I talk about books, etc., either on my Instagram or on the other YouTube channel. And one of the most common questions is this book available in Hindi? क्या ये book हिंदी में available है? क्या मैं इसको पढ़ने के लिए हिंदी की book कहाँ से मिलेगी? आप मुझे वो बता दो. So the point of what I just said, in case you're not a Hindi speaker, is I get these questions around, is a specific book available in my native language? And my suggestion, as always, is pretty simple, folks. It's to actually buy the English book and spend a little bit more time to understand that. So what am I getting at? I'll tell you what am I getting at. I'm getting at the point that our environment matters. What are we exposed to on a regular basis matters. This is how I was able to pick in German very, very fast. Even though I wasn't fluent at the end of 3 months, I could understand what the conversation is about. I could respond with basic things. Same thing when I was in Denmark with Danish. I could understand a lot of conversations by the end of my tenure there, which was 6 months. The point is that I was exposed to those languages 24/7. So the more exposure we have to a language, that's how also children learn, right? Little kids, that's how they learn. They learn through exposure, which is the acquisition of a language as opposed to learning a language. So we need to change our environment. So a great example that I can give you is change the language of your phone into English. Change the language of your computer into English. When you're working with something in the computer and at work or maybe at studies, try and take in material that's actually built in English. So as you change your environment, as you get exposed to the language English a bit more around you, that's going to help you just feel a bit more familiar, and your brain is going to start building those connections which we'll need once we start speaking English. So before moving forward guys, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're interested in more of these videos and you like what I'm creating. So moving on is speaking more. Now I get that we want to speak when we feel a little bit more confident, when we feel that there's, or rather we are closer to perfection in our speaking abilities, and that's never gonna happen. I don't feel perfect, nobody feels perfect, even native English speakers, people, I have like friends in the UK as well as in the US, even those people don't really feel perfect when it comes to their English. So that's never gonna happen. Let's start speaking as soon as possible. This pursuit of perfection with our grammar, with all of those things, it doesn't matter when we are speaking English. A lot of native English speakers don't have perfect grammar, and so you don't need to as well. However, understanding the basics of grammar is great, but once again, the way little kids learn, they are not taught grammar when they are 2 years old. They understand what other people are speaking, they make those connections, and it just sometimes, I'll maybe even give you an example. If I say something and it's not grammatically correct, somewhere in the back of your mind, you feel that there's something fishy with what this person just said, or there's something fishy with what I just said, right? And that fishy feeling, that usually happens when our brain gauges, maybe the grammar was off, maybe something was off here, and your brain will pick up on these things automatically. So you don't need to spend a lot of time on grammar, although I do recommend spending some time on grammar. So I'm not saying grammar isn't important or all of those things aren't important. All I am saying is that speaking is going to be paramount when actually getting comfortable and fluent in English in general. Number 3 is writing more. Wait, Shivam, are you just saying that writing more will help me speak better? Yes, my friend. That's what your friend here, Shivam, is saying, that writing more will actually open up your brain to understand how to think in English. And by the way, I've done a video on how to think in English, where I have also talked about speaking more and having your self-talk in English. So if you want to go check out that video, make sure to do that. But coming back to my point, which is write more regularly. And by the way, writing is also one of those things when it comes to the language English that's going to have the biggest impact on your career. A lot of people are okay and people understand, like when you're, especially when you're working in remote environments and when you're working in global companies, people understand that not everybody has English as their first language. So they are okay if you are not comfortable speaking in English. But when you are not able to write properly in English, it's going to be a problem. However, coming back to how this ties to being fluent in English, writing more allows us to think a little bit more in English, and it helps our brain to do that thinking, right? That's what our brain does. It does the thinking, and that's extremely important, because when we are speaking in English, a lot of these things need to be the our thoughts need to be translated into a language, and that's done automatically, instantaneously by our brain, and it needs to come out. For example, for this video, I don't have a script, I have bullet points, but I'm able to quickly come up with these things and talk about these on the spot, is because I understand how these things work. And writing makes you understand things on a deeper level, and that's what we want, and it's going to 100% allow you to speak better. So what you can do is 5 sentences, not 10 but 5 sentences in a single day. Just pick up a daily journal and write about your day. You can do it and you can, by the way, do it in 2 different ways. You can either write about how your day went at the end of the day, so maybe let's say before you go to bed, or you can do it first thing in the morning and you can talk about what you want to accomplish in that day. But 5 sentences is all that we want to do. Now number 4 is kind of connected to number 1, which is exposure to that language. And I want us to expose ourselves to actual English shows, English songs, etc. And one of the most powerful yes, so one of the most powerful things that you can actually do is to listen to music. English music is going to change your life, just because of the way words are structured, and our brain has to work a little bit harder to understand what's being said. But once it does, things are going to become more musical, more fluent, right? So that's what we want, and that's going to give us the confidence and our brain the feeling of being comfortable with speaking in English. So English songs are going to be your kind of prime resource. So if you can listen to more English songs, amazing. You can go for classic bands or classic artists, or you can go for let's say pop artists, etc. Whatever music you like, just pick something and listen to music in English. It's going to change how you actually speak English. All right, yes, we are going to touch on grammar as well. Grammar will make things a little bit easier when we are talking to somebody, because things won't appear off, or you won't doubt yourself. So we do want to spend some time on grammar, but a lot of people actually get stuck at grammar. So we don't want to get stuck at grammar. However, with that being said, go for 30 minutes to 1 hour of grammar practice. And when I say grammar practice, I mean like just pick up a concept that you go through, let's say for the whole week. So 30 minutes to 1 hour in a week, not in a day. 30 minutes to 1 hour in a week is going to be more than enough for you to actually understand the structure of the language, or to maybe understand the structure to an extent that you actually need it when you're going to be speaking in English to somebody. Number 6 is, let's start gamifying things. Now, if you don't know what gamify means, it's simply a process of changing some task or something that we want to do into a game. Apps are gamified in a way that they reward you for more engagement, etc, etc. So we want to gamify things for ourselves, so we have a little bit more motivation to speak more, to get exposed more to the language of English. Now, gamification actually more or less works the same way as we train, let's say, a pet dog. And yes, I did just say that. I did just compare myself and you and everybody to a pet dog, or the way the pet dogs are trained. It's the same thing. Positive response, positive output, and based on my action. So what does this whole thing mean? So it's pretty simple. If I do something and I get a positive response, I get rewarded for my action, my brain says, ooh la la, this is great, I like it. And that's what we want to do. So when we speak more, we want to associate it with positive emotions and rewards. So let's say you plan that today, right? Let's say it's a Wednesday, and you say, today I'm not going to talk in any other language other than English, come what may. Right? At the end of that day, when you have achieved something or maybe you've achieved that task successfully, or maybe even if you've achieved that task up to 80%, of value. 80% is great. If you score 80% in your exams, you're going to be happy, right? So let's say you were able to achieve that and your net result is like 80% at the end of that day. Reward yourself. Tell your brain that it's a good thing that you are trying to push more things in English, you are trying to converse in English, and associate positive response with getting exposed more to the language, conversing in that language, and slowly but steadily your brain will start to remember things that you felt there was no chance in hell that you would even remember. Now number 7 is a pretty interesting and pretty fun tip that I can tell you, and before that, like button of course, and smash that subscribe button as well if you're interested in these videos, that is. And the 7th tip is actually repeating movie dialogues to yourself in English. We do that in our native languages, we do that in Hindi, etc., with our siblings, or maybe to even ourselves, or maybe in the mirror, in front of a mirror. And that's what we want to do with English movies or English serials. So if there is a dialogue, let's say you're a Star Wars fan, somebody like me, right? Oh yes, you can start repeating those, and just maybe let Yoda's dialogue be alone, because he's really not into the grammar thing. However, if it's Darth Vader, or if it's somebody else, or maybe any other movie for the matter of fact, anything that you like, dialogues that you like, repeat those dialogues to yourself consistently. It's fun, it's a fun exercise, and it keeps things and not just like extremely serious. It allows you to practice your spoken English, but at the same time it associates positive emotions with all of that. So that bonus tip can really help you become a tad bit more fluent than you actually are in English. So with that guys, I'll wrap up this video. I hope you love the video. I hope you get some value out of this video. If you do let me know in the comments below, and if you have any follow-up questions for me, comment those as well. I'll see you guys next time. Till then, bye and take care.